In this 8th episode of the Bible Timeline playlist, we follow the incredible rise of David, from humble shepherd boy to king of Israel. Chosen by God, anointed by Samuel, and tested through trials, David's journey is one of faith, courage, and deep devotion. Last time we saw young David, he had just defeated the giant Goliath. The entire nation was celebrating and people were singing songs about his bravery. But King Saul wasn't too thrilled about it all. He was, in fact, very jealous of David's popularity. So much so that he tried to pin David down and kill him. And David, with the help of his friend Jonathan, had to escape into the wilderness. Now, for quite some time, David lived in the wilderness, hiding from Saul and raising his family. But while he was there, he heard that Saul had kicked the bucket. Now, many of Israel's leaders wanted David to come out of the wilderness and be their king. But word on the street was that Saul's family wanted to avenge their bloodline. So, they didn't think that David would actually be safe, even if he became king. At this point, David wasn't exactly sure what to do. But God spoke to him through the prophet Nathan and said, "Get up and go down to the city. Anoint yourself with oil and put on the clothes of royalty. For I will hand over the kingdom of Israel to you today." So David did just that. He went down to the city, got himself all decked out, and then assembled all the tribes of Israel, and they proclaimed him their king. And you know who was there celebrating? His old buddy Jonathan, son of Saul, along with Jonathan's brother Ishbaal. They were there shedding Saul's blood. Yikes. That's a pretty messed up way to become king. But hey, at least David wasn't involved in any of that mess, right? He started his reign in Jerusalem by bringing together all the families of Israel and Judah and holding this huge worship celebration with lots of sacrifices and music. David made Jerusalem his capital, and it flourished under his leadership. He also brought all the people of Israel together after the chaos of the civil war with Saul's family. He was a true king after God's own heart. But let's take a step back and remember how this all started. A young boy named David, just minding his own business, tending to his sheep. One day, there's this big commotion because the Israelites are getting their butts kicked by the Philistines. And David, hearing all the commotion, leaves his sheep and goes to see what's up. And that's when he meets the prophet Samuel. Samuel was looking for a replacement for Saul, who was no longer in the good graces of God. See, Samuel had been sent by God to anoint one of Jesse's sons as the new king. But when he saw Eliab, the eldest, he thought, surely God's chosen one must be the strongest and most handsome one, right? So he looked at Eliab and was like, "Hey, get up, let's do this." But God was like, no, Samuel, you're not getting that one. He's all about looks, not what's in the heart. You gotta go a little lower. So Samuel did. He kept going lower and lower until he landed on David, the youngest, who was out in the field with the sheep. And God was like, "That's the guy. That's my guy. That's my chosen one." So Samuel took that little oil bottle, poured it on David's head, and poof, officially making David the second king of Israel. And do you remember the first king? Yeah, Saul. God told Samuel, "Don't tell anyone about this, especially not Saul. This kid is going to be king after me. After me." After Samuel left, David went back to his life as a shepherd for a while, tending to his sheep and hanging out with his goats. But soon enough, he'd be called into action to face Goliath. And then, of course, his friendship with Jonathan, meeting Saul's demise and taking the throne in Jerusalem. So let's think about that for a second. God chose David, a young boy who was probably tending to his sheep, minding his own business, and said, "You, my friend, are going to be king." And many years later, that's exactly what happened. Not only that, but David's lineage would go on to produce Jesus, the true and eternal king who would rule over his people forever. In David's story, God reveals 3 important things. Number 1, he has a heart for leaders. Don't let your current situation or job keep you from God's bigger plans for your future. Like David, you might feel unprepared or unqualified, but God sees your heart and potential. Number 2, God is more interested in character than appearance. He looks at the heart, not the resume. So don't try to hide your true self to fit someone else's expectations. Be authentically you, because that's what God desires. And number 3, God wants us to trust Him through the wilderness times. Life as a believer can be a wild ride, just like David's journey. There will be highs and lows, successes and failures. But through it all, God wants us to trust Him and believe in His promises. As we wrap up this episode, I encourage you to look to Jesus, the ultimate King who came from David's lineage. May His teachings and example guide you as you navigate your own path in life. Remember, no matter where you are in your journey, God has a plan for you. It's up to you to decide whether or not you'll follow His path. Thanks for watching, friends. If you enjoyed this episode, hit that like button and subscribe for more biblical adventures. Until next time, stay curious and keep exploring the Bible.